I tried the Jones Road What the Foundation years ago. I wasn't a huge fan, but I'm trying it again and giving you a 2024 update. I'm going to share 5 things about this foundation and other products that I would recommend if you're still on the hunt after looking at this one. So stick around and let's get into it. This product was gifted by the brand. You're getting my honest opinion over here. You always have for 7 years, and I'll continue doing it. I have shade beige. Let's take a look inside. This formula is not separating on me. It's been open for at least 2 weeks now, and I'm not seeing the separation that I saw the first time around, which is great because that was not wonderful. It's 44 bucks, 16 shades available. I always like to look at what's inside, so we're going to give it a little ingredients scan. This is water first, cruelty free. There's jojoba seed oil, castor seed oil, sunflower seed oils inside. I just saw a typo on my scorecard. Everything that I mentioned here, all the details and stuff are going to be back on the site on the scorecard post as well, so I will link to that in the description. It's a beauty meets skincare product. There is also a silicone inside. I mentioned what that is back on the site. So if you're looking to avoid them completely, sadly, you cannot do that with this formula. There are others out there. Overall though, they're fully transparent. I'm not seeing any giant red flags on this one. So let's dive into application, which is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to take off what I currently have on my face. The brand recommends a couple of different ways. They have a brush, of course, that corresponds with this. I don't have to buy the brand's brush, but it's a flat foundation brush. There you go. So this type of a brush is what we're talking about. And then you can sort of paint it onto prepped skin. So I'll show you how that looks right now. Just took a little bit of the product. Tinted moisturizer balm meets traditional foundation. You know, Bobbi Brown's always trying to like do something different and new, which I'm not mad at. So painting it on looks like this, and it's not bad. It's just not what I traditionally do. Traditionally, it's not traditional, but I think this does a good job. So I think that recommendation holds up. However, you're going to have a little bit of a touch test here. You're going to feel slight stickiness. It's not heavy, sticky, or tacky. There's just moisture that it's imparting. Now, if you have dry skin, you're going to love that. And then you can just press it in with the finger as well. They also sent me a yellow powder that I'm going to talk about here because that was a genius move on their part. It is a thicker formula, but it's very watery and light. Not liquidy, but it feels like a water-based gel cream. That's the best way I can put it. I happen to love the texture. It's not that dense foundation cream that you would get. The RMS on Cover Up is a comparison there. I asked everybody on YouTube what I should compare it to. That was one that came up. That's denser, that has more heavy oils in there. It's really wonderful, but it's just, you know, it's a very different feeling. I want to show another way to apply this, which is with the Fake Glow Teddy brush. I happen to really like this method, and then I'm going to show you the sponge as well. They all work. It really just depends on what you have, and then the type of coverage that you're looking for. Pressing it on or painting it on with that brush gave pretty strong coverage, as you saw. When I used the brush, I'm going to use the more narrow side of this, or the smaller side, less surface area. It's actually a blush brush, but it works really nicely because it's densely packed and yet very, very soft. So if you see what I do here, you just sort of press it in. I find this to be quicker. You're going to see potentially less streaking on this one and still the same amount of coverage. This is my go-to for this foundation. I also like it because it will pick up a little bit of the foundation, but not so much. Like the sponge is going to pick up more of that foundation as you press it in, even if you do it lightly. So I will show you the sponge as well, but overall that looks pretty nice. And then I just keep wiping this side of my face. And then the sponge is gonna lift a little bit more. I'm using such a small amount. I like to kind of have a starter blend into the skin here. Then you get a good sense of the opacity, right? You can let it sit there for a second. Then I have just your regular old sponge here. It's biodegradable. And you can do a light press. It's gonna give you a nice, flawless finish. It will lift up, like I'm saying, but not by much. Because it's a water-based formula, if you put this over heavy oils, it might look a little strange. It might start settling into pores. That's what I saw the first time around. I didn't see that as much here, as long as I didn't mess with it with heavy oil underneath or a lot of powder or pressing on top. That's when things started to look streaky for me, but I feel like this formula is actually performing better than it did a few years ago on my skin. There is a scent to it. It's very light, subtle, herby, kind of maybe subtle ginger in there too. So you might want to just, if you're very, very sensitive, just know that. Overall though, for application, I think it did a really great job no matter what I threw at it, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. Coverage, it's supposed to provide, this is a cute claim, fresh complexion that looks like your skin on its best day. Okay, it's supposed to be buildable light to medium coverage. So I have the sponge layer on. I'm gonna build this on top of it. I think you wanna be careful when you're building. It'll get you the coverage, and because it's like a lightweight watery gel face cream, I shouldn't say watery because it's not liquidy, but it's like a lightweight cooling gel cream. It can get a little glowy. You're gonna start to see a lot of dewy here. I'm gonna talk about the finish, and I'm gonna show you the powder when we get to the finish. And then I'm gonna show you the comparison product that I think works just as well, maybe a little bit more opacity than this. So we'll get there in a second. So I think you're gonna get a light to medium coverage. You can actually see pretty clearly here, even with the lights bouncing off. You get a nice build. Up close, it's not settling into pores. It's blending across and kind of looks like it's soaking into skin really nicely. It says you can use face pencils to get more coverage. They're very specific, so I didn't really need it. I feel like it evened out wherever I wanted it to. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because they had the word medium in there, and I'm not sure this is medium. I'd say light medium. It's nitpicking. It could easily get to a 4, but I'm gonna stay with 3 right now. Still, I think it evened out skin redness really, really nicely without having to fuss around with it, which is key. For finish, the claim here is that it is a skin looks like skin finish. I'm absolutely seeing that. I am also seeing lots of dew. Again, the first time that I tried this out, I could see things settling into my pores. I am not seeing that at all here. I'm looking in the mirrors. I'm not seeing it. This is where I want you to see the powder. So this is the tinted face powder in yellow. It's supposed to get rid of redness. So it's sort of like a color correcting powder. And I'm using a giant brush here because I don't want to press too much in. This is going to look too pancake mixy on me. I know it, I've tried it. If I press it in and put too much on there. So here's the dusting, and then I just sort of like brush it off even. This is pretty interesting. So you see that dewy glow? I'm just gonna press this on top. One layer. It's so good, right? And it doesn't dry my skin out. So you still get that lit from within, or really more of like skin looks hydrated. It's not lit, it's not shimmery, there's no shimmer or anything to this, but it sort of looks like hydrated skin that's not overly shiny. I took this off with a beauty balm, by the way, so that was my cleansing balm, so you're seeing a little bit of hydration here. I'm doing that for a reason because I take things on and off when I do these videos and I don't want to dry my skin out. Check that out. So yeah, really nice. And then the finish on this method works better for me than using anything like this puff or pressing more product in. You can do that, of course, give it a shot, but for me, that's when finish started to suffer. So alone, its skin looks like skin and very dewy. If you don't want dewy and you want to put a powder on top, it just kind of does the trick, and very quickly, as you saw. Overall, for wear test, this got an in-between, so I'm gonna put on the alternative that I have here. Again, I mentioned the RMS foundation. That's gonna be richer, thicker, probably less is more kind of a situation on that. This is definitely more of like a water cream type of foundation. I prefer this texture to that. I remember that being a little bit too heavy for me and feeling a little bit too heavy. Instead, and somebody mentioned this was already what I was thinking, the Air Perez Oatmeal Foundation. It reminds me a lot of this foundation and the 100% Pure Water foundation, but that's always out of stock. So I can't put that on here because then you won't be able to get your hands on it, which would be annoying. So for the wear test, there's no wear test claim on this foundation. It doesn't say that it's going to give you all day wear. This is in shade Malt, but I want it to last for 8 hours. So I did multiple 8-hour wear tests and they were decent, but at the end of the day, I started to see a little bit of texture. It depends on how you're applying it, and then you also have to consider the powder on top. But it was good. It just wasn't the best with finish. With coverage, I felt like the coverage held up nicely. So I'm just gonna use the brush technique that I used on the other side. This is also very cool, very lightweight, very moisturizing, very easy to work with. And I think it gives stronger coverage personally. You tell me, you're watching the video, so you can let me know. But yeah, wear test was good, wasn't phenomenal, Wasn't the worst in the world. I gave it a 3 out of 5. This also isn't as dewy, although it is dewy. It's just not as dewy. Man, the touch test on this is so much better with the powder. You can barely feel it on. I'm gonna put the powder on the left side as I tell you the total score. Total score here is a, really? 1, 2, 3. It's a 14 out of 20. Could have been a 15 or 16 out of 20. I might still change my mind on that. Overall, I prefer it so much more now to back when I first tested it. I don't know if they've emulsified the formula a little bit better. I don't know if they've changed it in other ways that I just can't tell, but I feel like the application is better, the finish is better, the coverage is really nice. It's something I've been reaching for, and then if it's too dewy, this powder combination with the foundation, so these two together have been working so well for me. Humidity is crazy right now, so I also feel like that's contributing a little bit to some funky finish by the end of the day. I don't know, I'll keep you posted on that. Overall, I really am genuinely impressed by this, and I like it way more than I used to. That's the gist of it. When I run out, will I want to buy it again? I could see myself wanting to do it. The top contender against it would be that water foundation or the Air Perez Oat Milk. I like both of those a lot. They've been really strong performers, but something about the Jones Road is pretty great as well, and my skin's tolerated it very well too, so I'm not seeing any irritation or breakouts or anything like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to buy it again. But what do you think? Have you tried this foundation? It's very polarizing for some reason, this brand. I don't really know quite why, but I love to hear the comments and the feedback. Share your skin type and things like that, just so we have context. That's really helpful. And again, if you like these honest reviews, then give me a like. It takes 2 seconds. It makes a huge difference over here, so I appreciate that. And if you're still in the market for foundations, you can either beeline it to my top 20 Britt's picks, which is back on the website. Out of the thousands of products that I've tried, those are the ones I would buy again and again without hesitation. Or you can check out the foundations playlist over here. Have fun with that. Bye.